Hi everyone, and welcome to the new year. I just wanted to say I didn't get a chance to say this last year because I was too busy with work and travelling and family and all the rest of the things that usually come with the holiday season. But thank you very much to everybody who watched my videos or commented or subscribed last year. I did quite well. I think I did, I don't know, 15 episodes or something like that. I actually can't remember how many. It might not have been that much. But I'm quite close to 100 subscribers, and that is just incredibly amazing to me, and I'm really thankful and really appreciative that people find anything I put on this channel of any interest at all. But anyway, on to the new year. I hope everybody did have a really good holiday season, by the way. I thought I would start off not only 2016 with a green tea, but also working on the Falcon in celebration for Star Wars coming back to life. I mean, for those of you who haven't seen the new movie, I'm not going to spoil it or anything, but my god, that was an incredible movie. We all saw it. We went to my girlfriend actually got us organised a screening for Return of the Jedi at a private theatre, and a whole bunch of us and our friends went down and saw that. And actually, one of my good friends came over from England to see it, from London, for a visit to do, and it was great. And half an hour later, we went over to the movie theatre and saw the midnight screening of The Force Awakens, and it was terrific. It was 3D too, and I actually hate 3D, but that movie was a lot of fun in 3D. And I've seen it twice since, one extra time in 3D. And I've had this model sitting around for ages. I think somebody got me this model as a birthday present back in 2011. And I was painting in artificial light, so I screwed up the base colour, and I looked at the next day when the sun came up, and I was like, oh my god, this is just horrible. And I accidentally used a Tamiya X colour, and not an XF, which, as a lot of you know, will be gloss, and it looked awful. And of course, a lot of this fine detail was covered up. So it's literally taken me years to get all the paint stripped off it, because I mean, who likes stripping paint off a model? But I finally got it off, gave it a nice coat of primer, a nice wet sand, and mixed up a more correct colour this time. And what I thought would be cool for the first video of the year would be to do a weathering video, because this paint chipping effect is one of the coolest things you can do with a model, particularly a Star Wars kit. And for today, for doing this, I'll actually be using table salt. So, let's jump right into it. I've done with the red colour. I wasn't able to film any video on it, but I'm finished with the reds. And I've got to do some greys, some grey paneling, and I'm just going to use ocean grey. I think it should be the right colour. I'll test it on the bottom to make sure. But I'll do some of the same paint chipping effects, and I'll show you guys how it's done, and maybe you guys can follow along at home. So again, welcome to the new year. Thank you very much for watching, and let's have a real ripper. So let's get into it. Just mixing up some ocean grey XF82. Bit of thinner in there. I like to put my thinner in first, and then paint, and then just give it a stir. And I'm using the smaller cup with my Neo because, well, that's a bit obvious, isn't it? Right, next thing. Okay, so looking at my reference here, there's quite a lot more grey panels than there are red, so we'll have plenty of exercise room. By the look of it, it's only the red panels that have paint chipping, but for the purposes of this video, I will be doing some paint chipped panels on the bottom, and they're really fun to do anyway. I'm sure you guys are really interested to see how that's done. Speaking of paint chipping, a model I would really love to do would be the Slave 1. the fine molds kit. A lot of paint chipping opportunities there. And by the way, I didn't say it before, but this is the 1 to 1/44 scale fine molds kit. Kind of hard to believe that the Bandai kit looks even more detailed than this. Okay, this is where the fun begins. So we've masked off the area that we want to be ocean grey, and what I'm going to do is honestly just get my finger and just tiny little bit of water on the ends and like just wet the area. Just wet it. It doesn't need to be soaked. In fact, it's better if it's not soaked because you don't want the salt to just absorb. I'll get a cup here so it's easier. I'm just going to pour a bunch of salt in just so I can either pour it on or whatnot. We'll see. You just pinch it a little bit with your finger because you just need a tiny bit, and you just season it where you want the paint to come off. So maybe on the edges. And I found that even though you should be on a lower air pressure for the airbrush than normal, it still tends to blow off the salt, right? So just blowing it. So it still tends to blow off a little bit of the salt. So there's a couple of tricks I learnt in order to, to make up for that. Just put my air compressor down here so it's not too noisy. So low air pressure, probably what am I on, like, what's that? That's actually quite high. I don't know, like 10, 15 or something. Don't need much. Okay, and I've also taken off the tip of the needle cap as well, just so that there's an even smaller paint radius. So everything's on here, and I like to just start with the air, and like from a distance, and then bring the airbrush in closer. I know you can't really see this, but and bring the airbrush in closer, and then just paint and get their paint on as quickly as possible before everything blows off. Okay, and there we go, there's a painted surface. So I'll just put the cap back on my airbrush. Hang on, bear with me. Just don't want to drop my airbrush at this point and get into the needle. So there's our paint on the part, and I'm fairly happy with the colour already. So what you want to do now is just remove the tape. Now I don't really tend to use this over because it's got salt all over it, so I'll just discard the tape there, and you can use just blow on it a little bit, and you can use pretty much anything to scrape the salt off. I was actually using a t-shirt before. I'll get something else here and really scrape that off. And then you have some really cool in-scale paint chipping. And I think for larger kits, you'll you might want to use rock salt as well as table salt, but this is really fine grain, just chip salt sort of thing. So it really does give a nice unscaled look. So we'll do another one or another couple, and we'll move on to the next stage of weathering, which will be some of the streaking. Now I did have a thought about how to do that, and I was thinking about, after I've done all the paint work, I was actually thinking about, giving it a gloss and actually doing it with the pastels and things like that. But what I might do is a combination, and similar to doing what I did on my Reliant kit for weathering, was just getting the edge of some tape and airbrushing along the side of it to create a sharp streak. I'll likely try a bit of that on the bottom and see how we go. But for right now, that's how you do salt weathering. Really fun, really easy. Man, that looks cool, man. Looks so awesome. Right, so I've just salted this section. Alright, so I've just salted this section here, and put the compressor on. And whack that colour on quick. Give it a good blow. See, that one came out even better. So that one came out even better, even more defined paint chipping. Just the coolest effect ever. Awesome. Let's continue on. We'll get the bottom finished and the top as well. Alright, got the bottom finished here, and I'm just going to move on to the top now. Now, I realise that these, it's different from the red panellings here, but the sort of grey ones on the studio model at least don't have any paint chipping at all from what I can tell. But I will be adding just a little bit, just to blend the look of it more in, because, logically, I guess if these can be chipped, then so can the grey ones, but I'll be keeping it to the minimum side. I tried to do variation on the bottom. Some don't have chips at all, some do. Yeah, some panels do, some don't on the bottom. Quite happy with that. Probably do the similar thing on the top. I'm just about to do this section here. So I'll just put the camera down here and we'll get on with it. Just as usual, just wetting the areas that I want chipped. Dry it off a little. Got my salt in my wee cup here, and I'm just gonna I don't want too much chipping on this one. Q-tip here. And perfect. Perfect. Really, really happy with that. Let's get on with it. Alright, moving on to the next thing, which is the streaking, which goes radially around the shape of the Falcon. And I'm actually I decided to I might still do both, but I'm deciding to start with an airbrush effect to get those radial streaking. I've already done 3 right there, and what I'm going to do is, depending on how happy with it when I'm done, I might then go over it with a clear coat and a wash and do some pastel streaking just to mix it up a bit. But for now, I'm using the exact same technique as I did with my Reliant and the battle damage. I'll stick a bit of tape down like that. Get my airbrush on the ready. Take off the cap here. Expose the needle. And very, very carefully, see, I'll show you, like, you can get really, really close with that. Go up the top here, I'll get in the middle, go up the top here, and really, really carefully just bring it down. And then you're left with a really sharp kind of radial line which goes downward. Do another one here. These are kind of hard to do on camera, but and just rinse and repeat across the whole entire thing, and we should get some really nice, like, radial gradations. They'll look awesome. So I'll move on with that. You know, if you want, you can even go freehand with them. Okay. And hopefully the trick is, as it always is, not to go overboard. So I think I might move on from this section and see what I can accomplish elsewhere. Alright, so there we have it, guys. Finished up doing everything. That's pretty much where I'm going to leave it for now. We've done the paint chipping, the paneling, and also the weathering on both sides. Here's the bottom. There's obviously still a little bit to go. Going to install these covers here, put the railgun on the bottom, insert the cockpit. There's a wee detail piece that goes in the centre here which I can't find, of course. And, you know, various other things, maybe a couple of other colours to add, and I haven't decided yet on whether to put a wash on this. She's looking pretty beat up already. I'm really happy with how it looks, actually, but I haven't quite decided. There's some rust and stuff I still want to put around on the sides. But basically, for the purposes of this video, showing weathering effects and things like that, we're done. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you have a great year. And by the way, if you, I really can't decide if I want to put a wash on this or not. Let me know what you think in the comments whether this needs like a wash. Maybe not a black wash, clear coat and then black wash, but maybe clear coat then a grey wash or something, just to bring out some of the detail and stuff. See, we've got some of that streaking going on there, which looks really cool. Yeah, I hope you like how she's turning out so far. I'm definitely loving it. This is the first time I've built a Falcon. For the streaking, I ended up just using like the edge of a piece of tape on some of it, and actually freehanding a lot of it. I took the cap off my needle, so off the airbrush the needle was exposed, and I freehanded a lot of this stuff on the bottom too, and it came out perfectly, I think. So again, thanks for watching, have a sweet year, and I'll see you on the next episode. Might do an episode on this. I'm building this side alongside it as well. Really cool kit. Alright guys, take it easy, be cool to each other, see you next time.